that you mentioned was, your radio show.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk radio.
Let's talk radio.
Let's talk radio on a podcast. So, Andrew and I...
That brings up a great point.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're talking radio.
You taking this?
Yeah, I got this. We're talking radio on a podcast.
Uh-oh.
And I'm very curious to hear your opinion. You're a host of a radio show. What is the future of radio? Do you feel like the podcast industry has leverage now and could be gaining a lot more leverage, or are people not valuing radio enough and they're saying this is here to stay?
Radio, I think, is here to stay more than ever.
Okay.
I don't think it's dying. I think now with home devices and smart devices, you can listen to radio in more ways than just your car, where a lot of people are now putting Bluetooth and whatever they have on their phones. I think that it's just changing. Where your presets used to be AM, FM, it's now, maybe your favorite radio station, maybe it's Spotify, maybe it's Pandora, maybe it's a podcast. But it's flipping between the two, and you also notice even with music, you look at the top Shazam songs, you look at the top charts. Artists are all over the place. They're making music on YouTube, they're making music on Instagram. They don't break until they're on the radio. That's just how it is. You can be making money, sure, but in terms of selling out tours and selling out stadiums, you're not going to break unless you have the leverage of a radio station. So with that, there are different formats. There are some radio stations that only play music. We have talk and music. There are some radio stations that it's only talk. There are some radio stations that they take their talk show and then upload it to be a podcast, or they take snackable moments from it. So now I think there's just more ways to listen. There are more options to listen, and it's just a matter of whether or not you are able to modernize your approach and connect on a multidimensional level. The talent on the radio who they don't understand Instagram, they don't understand Twitter or YouTube, yeah, if radio is all you can do, like any industry, if you can only do that one thing, you're not going to grow. And that's why, for me, it was so important that I've never wanted to do just one thing. And I've never just done one thing. So at Go, for example, I'm on the morning show, but I also, from the very beginning, said, I want to see the big boys table. I want to have a leadership role. I want to learn about this industry. I want to learn about this business, so that no matter what I do next, I have other skills besides just talking into a microphone.
Mm-hmm. Behind the scenes, leadership, understanding the business of it, and then even still, I still do everything on social media. I still get my own deals. I still get my own gigs. I still travel. I'm still making television appearances. And so I just think that there's now a new multidimensional approach that as long as you hop in and as long as you are open and willing and flexible, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned artists strive to be on the radio. They're not finished until they're on the radio. And I've realized that as well with podcasts, hosts that have quote unquote made it. They are now on Sirius satellite radio, or they're on a radio show. They have their own station. They go from podcast to this. And I feel like because it's established, because it has roots, that's why it's here to stay. And it has already a founded network versus podcast is so independent. It's almost like your own little social media page.
Yeah.
That's your podcast, and then you're on a business. That could be viewed in that light as well.
Are there parts of it that are going to die? Yeah. You see a lot of shows that are syndicated now. And with that, they don't have to have a person in every single city. They could have Ryan Seacrest air in a ton of different cities. But they still have that financial backing that you at least need to put into a show to make it great and not just good. Yeah, not just this. But that's also really cool, though, is that anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do it. You can have another job. You can have this be your job. Anyone can do it. There's no excuses not to do it. And I get mad at myself sometimes because I'm like, why am I not doing this? Or why am I not putting up YouTube videos? And part of it is just sanity. But, whenever people... And I was guilty of this, so I know what that's like, and I'm still guilty of it now. Whenever people say, oh, well, I want to do this, but I'm going to wait until this and this and this, and just do it. Just start getting comfortable with it. Just start figuring out what it is that you want to do. If you're hesitating from a branding standpoint, which is where I am, I understand to some extent because with the internet, certain things live there forever, and it can be a little scary, but you guys are doing awesome, so keep doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks. What's really cool, though, just to back up and reinforce your radio thing is, or your statement is, from the, I forget what it's called, the Edison review from the first 6 months, which is like a media platform review. 40% of people in their cars still listen to radio.
Yeah.
And that's down from 43% the prior year. But the Google Home and the Amazon Alexa, those things, like you said, are like completely bringing those things back up. And what it really turns out to be is, podcast, it's not competing with radio. It's just another way, it's just another medium to get your message across. And it's a very, very attractive one. More people are starting podcasts now than there are days. It's absurd. And it's growing.
Yeah.
And it's great that we are already a year into it and that there are far more helpful things to help us make a better podcast than there were even a year ago. It's absurd. But it's all about, back to your point also, is like, you got to just do it. Like, Andrew and I, like, I would say we were pretty good doers before we started the podcast, but we were like, okay, it's February 5th. I remember the day. February 5th, 2017 is when we decided to go and buy a podcast mic from Best Buy.
This thing right here.
I have it.
This thing. The
I
blue
even have
mic.
one.
The blue mic.
Yeah.
We still use it to this day.
Snowball.
Exactly. God bless the Snowball and God bless Benny from Best Buy. But like, we set a time to go do that. Had we never done that, we would have probably never even started the podcast. Probably would have been some half-assed thing. But because we spent $50 on it, split it down the middle, 25 each. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a plan. Like, we literally FaceTimed for maybe an hour, talked about like, hey, let's start a podcast. We're both passionate about it. Why not? But like, at the end of the day, we just went and did it, right? And 7 episodes in, we didn't really have much. It was kind of just interviewing our friends. We got the president of our university on, which was sweet.
Mm-hmm. We
But
thought
then-
we made it from there.
we
but
thought
really
we made
were-
it.
We opened up a new door of just like,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
this is-
breaking out of another show. We were like, finally, we got someone on that wasn't our friend. No way, here we go. But then we hit summer, and it was like a year ago from like right around now. Andrew and I are like, who are we? What are we doing? And how do we do it?
We put a lot of time into this.
So much time in the summer.
Let's try to narrow down and figure out what our
Right.
purpose is.
Okay, guys, what is your why?
We just kind of formed into a position statement that we feel like is effective to our mantra. Why we ask the average quality question to start kind of sets the mood of who we are and what we're about. Our position statement currently stands as average hosts, unique collaboration, so with the guests and what we bring. So we do 15 minutes of us beforehand and then 45 minutes of an interview. That's our podcast. And
Well, in
then-
the back end.
And then the back end as well. And then our last statement is positive, promote, inspiration.
Cool.
So that's kind of what we're trying to push across. And hopefully it's connecting with our marketing interns. If you haven't noticed yet, our marketing interns are our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
How
got
long did
that.
it take you to get that? Were you confused?
Not very. Yeah.
Good, good. So there are people that understand it right away. You wouldn't believe.
It wasn't instant, but yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
was it like, here's marketing interns?
I like
need
it.
I need to look into this.
I like it. I need some marketing interns.
Those are our word of mouth. That's how we advertise.
That's the best
Our
way.
marketing interns.
That's the best way. It's a millennial approach.